The eclipse energy for this month is incredibly intense, but it is an invitation to let go in order to move forward. And there is plenty of energy around activation of our inner wisdom, inner knowings to lead us forward into the new world. Stay tuned for my complete reading. Hello, astrologer Courtney Ingham here with your report for the April 2023 hybrid solar eclipse in Aries at 29 degrees and 50 seconds. Eclipse energy is all about receiving new downloads and upgrading. Now, I'd like to talk a bit about this particular eclipse because it is a unique eclipse, being that it's a hybrid solar eclipse. And I'd like to share with you the definition and understanding of this from time and date. During a hybrid solar eclipse, the Earth's curvature brings some sections of the eclipse path into the moon's umbra, the darkest part of its shadow that creates total solar eclipses, while other areas remain outside the umbra's reach, causing an annular eclipse. So what this means to me is that this eclipse is not going to be experienced across the board by everyone the same. And the significance to this, in my opinion, would be that this is sort of highlighting the multi-dimensional experience that we've been having, particularly in the last few years, and how these experiences across the board have really not been the same. I feel like in a lot of circles, you could be experiencing a completely different reality from a person sitting right next to you, and I'm sure you felt the same. A lot of people describe this as the new Earth experience. In other words, Earth itself is changing and upgrading, and us humans here that live on Earth are doing the same. So the experiences across the board are going to be very different depending on what consciousness we are in and what frequencies we are experiencing and exhibiting. Next up, I'd like to talk about the degree at which this particular eclipse is happening. As I've stated already, it's 29 degrees. That's the anaretic degree. I've spoken about this quite a bit. And the anaretic degree is one in which planets or placements at that degree are going to be acting in extremes of whatever that placement is, or in extremes of whatever that sign is. And if you have any anaretic degrees in your chart, any planets at an anaretic degree, any points or placements at an anaretic degree, you came here to heal. You didn't come here to have ease. You came here because there were big things, maybe potentially karmic things that were up for you to heal. So if we're looking at 29 degrees of Aries, we're going to expect to see the extremes of some of the lower energies of Aries playing out. And this is much the same as what we had been seeing with Pluto, who was hovering around 29 degrees of Capricorn for quite a while until it's very recently moved into Aquarius. The anaretic degree in Aries could highlight some of the lower energies of Aries, including competitiveness, selfishness, looking out for oneself over others, desiring to get ahead at any cost, a lack of compassion for others, a lack of empathy potentially for others. Now, interestingly enough, with this particular chart, the Moon and Mars are in what's called mutual reception. And this means that the Moon is in the sign of Aries that Mars rules, and Mars is in the sign of Cancer that the Moon rules. So we understand that they're in relationship with each other, and they're speaking to us because of this connection and this link that they have in the chart. I've spoken a lot about the Aries Moon in my recent transmissions. The Aries Moon is one that oftentimes exhibits a lack of vulnerability. Aries Moon tends to lack compassion, does not like to witness weakness in others. It's a less nurturing moon, whereas the moon is a sign of nurturing. It's a sign that looks out for one's family, others, and wants to take care of them, wants to nurture them. So if we kind of blend these together, what we can see is that the action planet of Mars is asking us to nurture, to take action towards nurturing, to look out for our family, our loved ones, to help them in ways that we see we can, and of course to nurture, and also to nurture ourselves, because Aries again is a very self-oriented sign. It rules the first house of the self, and so this is asking us to look out for ways in which we can take action to nurture ourselves and to nurture those that we love. And actually in this chart, the sun is conjunct Jupiter. So we will see potentially an exasperation and enlargement of the Aries energies that are at that anaretic degree. What's helpful in this chart is to remember the mutual reception taking place with the moon and Mars, which is reminding us to be nurturing and loving. This chart is also showing Pluto square to the sun. And this represents a closing of doors. Pluto is asking us to evolve and step into new ways of being. It is helping to destroy and burn down the old ways of being. It's a closed door that we are not meant to go back through, not try that handle anymore, but to move on to new places, new spaces where our energy will blossom, where we can evolve, where we can move into a higher form of ourselves that we came here to be and exhibit. And it's holding us accountable to that with this square to the sun. Many of us during this time are experiencing a crumbling of old ways of being that are no longer serving us, old patterns, old structures. And we want to remember that this is an invitation for us to step into these higher ways of being. Again, eclipse energy is upgrade energy. We are being invited into these new spaces that the codes and downloads that we have received in recent years are lighting up for us. And we want to, instead of resist these challenges that come with Pluto's square, we want to invite ourselves to accept and do our best to willingly go along with things, even though it is often very difficult energy. There's also a squaring happening to the North Node. Pluto and the North Node are in a square as well. And so Pluto has a very strong message in this particular eclipse energy. And I see the squaring with Pluto to the North Node as an activation of our inner wisdom, our inner knowledge, and our true higher selves that are trying to emerge into this new picture that is being activated by the eclipse energy. Because we must remember that this North Node energy is the energy of our highest soul's path, but Pluto destroys in order to have a more authentic rebuilding, and we are indeed being asked to step into a higher form of ourselves. Finally, Uranus is conjunct to Mercury in this chart, which can loan us to overthinking. It can also be a sign of shocking news or downloads that we may receive during this time. In general, the energies of this chart feel incredibly destined. They have a sense that it is a major activation going on. It would be a really good idea to find out where these energies are taking place in your chart and get a good understanding of what those houses mean so that you can understand what is being activated, what is meant to be left behind for you. You'll want to find out where 29 degrees of Aries lies in your chart. If you need help with this, you can sign up for a natal chart reading with me. I'll also be uploading a quick and simple class on how to create your own natal chart and guide you through finding different points in your chart, and you can reuse this information time and again with mine and other readings so that you can find where the full moons, the new moons, eclipses are going to be activating parts of your own chart. I hope you enjoyed this eclipse reading, and if you did, please leave a comment and let me know. If you're interested in my daily transit reports, you can subscribe to my Substack and you will receive them. Take care.